And our worst fears are about to come true. Is it possible that robots will soon be replacing human workers? It just might happen. 鸿海集团的富士康公司传出，在未来3年内要慢慢用机器人代替人工，预计可能会引进上百万个机器人。Foxconn, the company that is responsible in making parts for Apple's iPhone and iPad, said that they are planning to replace the employees with robots. The machines will be able to carry out simple tasks such as welding and assembling parts. The world's largest maker of electronic components currently has 10,000 robots. The company is expecting to increase it to 300,000 by next year and up to 1 million in the next 3 years. Foxconn CEO Terry Gou said that the company, which has about 1 million workers across the world, is looking to cut labor expenses and to improve efficiency with this new change. Now moving on to other news, the economy in the U.S. has not been too good lately, and your habit of collecting coupons is certainly not helping the recovery in any way. The latest number shows that consumer spending this quarter has been the lowest in 2 years. 美国国债的问题看起来好像暂时解决了，但是美国的经济还是不太理想，因为现在的美国人消费能力越来越低，也让经济好不起来。
A tepid consumer is one reason why the U.S. economy grew slower than expected in the second quarter. According to the Commerce Department, the nation's gross domestic product, or GDP, rose at an annual rate of 1.3% from April to June. Economists were expecting a gain of 1.8%. Consumer spending, which is responsible for about 70% of all economic activity, was the weakest in 2 years. Gus Faucher is Director of Macroeconomics at Moody's Analytics.
Obviously, consumers are very concerned when gasoline hit $4 a gallon in the spring, so that caused them to pull back on other things. And then auto sales were very weak. Because of the Japanese earthquake and the disaster there, there were fewer imports of Japanese cars. There's lower production of some U.S.-made vehicles because of parts shortages from Japan.
The impact of high prices at the pump and the supply disruption from Japan were supposed to be short-term drags on the economy, but revisions for economic growth from October to March show the recovery was already weakening before the spring. Economists say these weak growth numbers could exacerbate fears the economy will get even weaker as the debt impasse in Washington threatens to further derail consumer and business confidence.
Now truly ask yourself, are you constantly on your phone checking for messages and stalking on your hot coworker's Facebook profile? If the answer is yes, then you do have the so-called checking habits, a new condition that is haunting cell phone users nowadays. 常常没事就要看手机的人，你小心你可能会有手机强迫症哦。什么样的症状算是手机强迫症呢？我们一起来看看吧。
A recent study shows that the obsession with smartphone is getting common and the habit is highly associated with your brain. It suggested that smartphone users have developed what is called checking habits, which is when one unconsciously checks for emails and other applications, such as Facebook, repetitively. They look at their handsets on an average of 34 times a day, with each time lasting from less than 30 seconds and were often done within 10 minutes of each other. What's interesting about the finding is that the habit is developed not because people need to, but it's because the brain likes the feeling of receiving emails or Facebook feedbacks. Researchers said that these feedbacks make people feel important and their brains get addicted to the feeling. Therefore, it causes people to reach out for their phone unconsciously. However, there's always a price to pay. For instance, constantly checking phones may come off impolite to others. The habit can also stop one from interacting with people and prevent one from getting things done. So, how can we tell if we are a habitual checker? Well, here are some signs. First, if you check your email more than you need to. Second, you're annoying other people. And third, the thought of not checking makes you nervous. Researchers suggest that if you want to get rid of your checking habits, you need to try to stay away from your phone for a few hours every day and maybe force yourself to stop checking when you are in a social situation.